to legitimately protest, and we will do it with honour and dignity. There will be no swearing in the chanting. There will be anger, yes, vehement anger, but we will do it courteously, politely, and with the dignity we all deserve.
So I'm here in Aldgate, East London, outside London Metropolitan University, Cass School of Art. There's a protest today against what's happening at the university, where there are plans to not only close this art school, but close all the buildings here and move the campus to North London, in the process closing a number of courses, potentially leading to job losses, reduction in student numbers.
Save the Cass actually means save the arts. These two things are so intertwined. The government, the funding powers, the people that make huge decisions are afraid of the arts. And what you're standing in front of is an incredibly valuable piece of property.
Jessica, why are you here today, and why is this so important to save the Cass?
Well, I feel that saving the Cass is very, very interlinked with saving the arts, and that the government, the powers that be, the funding bodies are systematically decimating funding to the arts. The arts are expensive to train people. They take up a lot of space. They use a lot of tutor time. They're more expensive. Of course, they use a lot of equipment. They're more expensive than a lot of other courses to run. And what's happened is that in a place where art has become actually really, art has always been important, but art has always been something that people are afraid of. It enables people to use their voice, to communicate, to say the things that they want to express, and sometimes those are things that people are afraid to hear. It's very hard to control artists. The best way to control artists is by completely taking everything away from them, but even still, they are still going to fight. And what's happened with this building is that the building has become more financially viable. It's become more valuable than the students that come here. And that's a really sad thing.
The students were told when we were coming onto the course that this is where it would be. And when you think about an art school, its location is incredibly important. So we've got the Whitechapel Gallery just there. You know, there's a whole host of smaller commercial galleries. And this building is a beautiful it's a 50-year-old building, same age as Star Trek. And you know, it's a great place with amazing workshops. And we were sold on that. The students were walked around saying, this is the reason to come here, because the fantastic workshops, the amazing diversity of courses, including the music instrument building course, which is now going to get closed down, very unusual course. You know, 2 weeks ago, suddenly they're saying, well, actually, for the last year or so, we've been planning on selling this building. What you've just signed up to, what you've given your money for, was a lie.
It's really up to artists to change things. Art isn't just about doing stuff for rich people, it's about making changes, and that includes all of you as art students. You're going to have to help us to try and make this happen. So it might take a bit of time, but you know, we should all be in it together. So thank you very much.
Hi Jeremy, so why have you come today to support this protest?
Well, I'm visiting professor here, so I have to, it's in my, in a sense, it's in my interest to see that this college exists here, stays here, and remains as it is in this place, because it's a really important institution. It's almost unique in Britain, I would say, in terms of the courses it gives, and there's an amazing sense of coexistence between arts and crafts in the space. So it's a really special place, which I know it won't exist in this way if it moves. There's no way it will.
And what do you think is the knock-on effect of closing institutions like the Cass and like
Wow, that's a good question. I mean, the knock-on effect will be felt for generations, because they might. When you think about these places, you think, well, this is taking up a lot of space and money, but actually it's a massive investment in the future of the country. And the fact that as a nation now, we have to adapt to change, and we have to be clever, and we have to think about what we're making and what we're doing, and we need institutions like this to help us do that.
The bigger picture is that art is becoming a more elite society. So it's not, they're not looking at ordinary people and studying art. They look down on it, we're frowned upon. Art is for the elite, and that's what they're doing. They're tightening the reins. They're just tightening it until that's it. It's only an elitist subject, and it's just really squeezing out the ordinary people from the arts. That's it.
what is the contribution that arts makes?
Well, arts, I mean, the arts and art colleges are really the research and development for the country, I see it. For new ideas, for new way of making things, new ways of looking at the world, as they should be, and they've always been that. So they're a place of innovation, but also a place of enjoyment and entertainment, all these different things that make life worth living. So they have a huge effect on the country. If you think about art colleges in the 60s and 50s in Britain, they basically invented what we know today as British rock music, and that changed the world in the 60s and 70s. So they're drivers of change, but also drivers of innovation and new ideas. So they're very important places where people might think, oh, silversmithing, furniture making, that's the past, but actually it's the future for this country. Skills like that are actually incredibly important.
They've already cut 19 courses, and it's just half of these courses are really unique as well, especially to the cast.
And it's all the courses that involve high-skilled making workshops that have been chopped.
Well, this is our workshop for our second and third year BSc students. We have one other workshop which is for the first year students.
And what's the course? Sorry.
It's the BSc in musical instruments. Is what it's called. It's musical instrument making.
And is it staying under the plans?
No, it's going to be cut. It's the only course of its kind in Europe actually, probably the world, in terms of it being a BSc, an undergraduate course. And here not only do we teach the craft of musical instrument making, but we teach the physics, so the sciences, the arts of it, the history of it, its context. That is, so there are a couple of courses, I guess, around the world. I can think of two in England which have 2-year small craft making, but nothing that's a degree course. So it is the last of its kind.
Why is it being cut?
It has about an intake of 12 to 14 students a year. So each cohort is about 12 to 14. The Vice-Chancellor seems to only want courses of 24 per year to come in. And I think that really we don't actually need a lot, but we need this. We need a bit of space to make. And that to me, seems to be the only good reason. I can't think of any reason. Under this art school thing that we've just gone through, this Orgate Bauhaus, we've been looking to the types of instruments we've made before. So just over there we have Francesca making a violin. And then for the last 2 years I've introduced a production line of making electric guitars in 1 week. So last year we made 20 Telecasters in a week using the facilities of the mill here. Really to introduce the students to the larger high-tech kind of factory machines. They learn before that how to make things completely by hand. So we try to look to the future, but with a nod to our past as well.
We had bodies that were CNC'd last year. Basically rough cut out the neck's shape and everything, profile. We have to carve the rest of the neck by hand. And then we get spray finishing lessons as well. So we have to learn how to do the finish. Then we get to teach each other how to wire them up as well. So
What are the implications of them closing the course?
tragic, to be honest.
Do you mind telling me about what you're making?
Yeah, it's a semi-hollow, thin-line guitar, based on, it's an hybrid really of different guitars all together. So I don't know how it's gonna sound. I don't know. It looks cool, I think, but yeah, we shall see when it's finished. Really.
What do you think will happen when they close the course? Towards the end?
Well, this is going to be the end of it. I mean, like, it's vital for us because it's not really, it's, you know, for me, like, at least for me coming to this course, it was never about the actual piece of paper at the end, you know. It was more the 3 years that I'm doing here is my experience on building things, and the concern is, you know, like, people in the future that is not going to have this opportunity to learn, because you know, you're not just learning from the teacher who tells you how to do things. You learn from a classroom full of people that are making their own builds, and their mistakes or their ideas, you're learning of each other. So I think this is fundamental if you want to, and you know, it's craftsmanship. And in this country, everyone complains about having things built in different countries, but if everything gets killed in this country, there's only room for salarymen the seats down in the office, then you know we're gonna have to buy guitars in China, and we're not gonna make them here anymore. So yeah, I think killing this course is just a big mistake.
And how long has this course been running here?
Well, it's certainly in this building since the 1970s. Before that, as part of London College of Furniture, it's in portfolio of courses from the 1950s, and there's evidence of musical instrument making in this borough of Shoreditch since the beginning of the 20th century. In fact, from the Education Act of 1899.
And what are the implications of this course closing? What will happen to the craft?
It's terrible. Nearly everybody who works in this craft of musical instrument making, sure, most people are in small workshop setups, working as sole traders, but nearly everybody in the industry has been on this course in one of its forms. Denmark Street, you know, we see that being closed down, but nearly everybody who works in Denmark Street in one form or another came on this course and as guitar makers. But there's makers of it's getting less now, but of harpsichords of all sorts have all come through here. So yes, it's a crying shame.
I'm making tiles, so they're going to go down the headstock veneer and they're going to be the rosette around the sound hole. So they're really, really tiny, but they're really detailed.
Is it too late to keep this course running?
Well, we have the music, the students themselves. I don't do this. This is the students who have to take this their lead. But they started a petition less than a week ago, which has now 2,500 signatures. So they are protesting. They want to go and see and speak to the VC and direct questions to him. I would hope that there could be some look at it again.
God knows when, but you're doing it again. You better run down the alleyway looking for a new friend. The man that coonskin cap and a pig pen. He wants $11 bills, but you've only got £10,000 plus worth of debt every year.
It's impossible to ignore what's going on behind us. Is what's happening here a kind of an effect of the wider development that's happening in London?
Well, of course. I mean, this will end up being housing or a skyscraper or something if they get their way. It's going to be a huge tower, I imagine. And that just makes London more boring, really. And London is becoming progressively more boring, and that's what really worries me when you build flats over what was an art college. That's a massively uncreative thing to do, and it's a very bad signal for the country. You know, I worry about London, but I worry about Britain as well when you see things like this happening.
This is such a special place. So save the love, save the cast, save the arts.